Hello, dear viewers and listeners. Welcome to the latest episode of Extra Extra. It's all about whiskey. This is our season 4 concluding episode. And just like we concluded season 3, we are going to take a look at the top 20 whiskies of 2023 as announced by Whiskey Advocate magazine. Joshua?
Yes.
I sent you a note saying, don't look at this list. Were you naughty or nice when it came to looking at this list?
So I was, for the most part, nice. I know one of them for sure. And then I saw another one, but my brain is like a sieve and I forgot the second one that I saw. So, it'll all, except for one, it will all be a surprise to me.
Okay. So we're going to do what we did last year, which is
Get
we're
really
going to play
drunk
a little,
and then just go through the list. Is that what we did?
just
last
on
year?
eggnog, only eggnog. And it has to go straight into your veins, which is where it lives after you consume it anyway. And so we're not going to play a guessing game for all 20, but I think there are key moments on this list where I think it's fun to see. Does it make sense to you? Have you heard of it? Have you seen some buzz around this? So without further ado, Joshua, I'm going to frame this on behalf of Whiskey Advocate because they have a nice little body of text here at the top, and it says, our top 20 whiskies represent a curated collection that deserves your notice. This assortment features hidden gems offering exceptional value, standout examples leading their respective styles, and superbly crafted bottles worth seeking out. Above all, each whiskey in this list stands out as a beacon of excitement, highlighting the pinnacle of a year filled with remarkable tastings.
Oh, I like that. That's
a nice paragraph.
A little bit of poetry, right? A little bit of poetry right there. Yeah.
Right. To our understanding, Whiskey Advocate puts together their tastings throughout the year. They do assign numerical values, and then they have an editorial meeting in anticipation of putting together this top 20 list, where they return blind to their most highest of scores, and then a top 20 is born of that. So these aren't just the top 20 scoring whiskies of 2023, but are instead an amalgamation of the best whiskies they've had.
The best of the best.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
So where would you start a top 20 list?
The one thing that I do know about this list is when Whiskey Advocate do it, they do a countdown of the top 10 starting at 10 and then down to 1. And then once that's released, they release top, 11 through 20.
Yep.
I think last year we went from 20 down to 1, if I'm not mistaken. So
you and I did, yes.
Yeah. So let's just, let's do that again. I quite liked that.
So the good news is that is what we're doing. My question is, what would you have in the 20th spot?
Oh, what would I have in the 20th spot? Oh, boy.
Remembering it has to be a 2023 release.
Yeah.
And it's a hugely unfair question. I do not expect you to get this correct, Joshua.
No, I mean, can you narrow it down for me? Can you give me?
Well, I'm curious about process, right?
Oh, process.
Which is when you and I put together our two top 5 lists for pours, American and an earlier episode where we talked about Scotchies or single malts, I should say.
Yeah.
There's an idea, and I was thinking mostly of your top 5 list, where you came out the gates with real affordability and talked about affordability.
Yeah.
And one of the things we said in that episode was whiskey has been too cheap for too long, and we need to get out of the headspace where pricing starts here and maybe go to pricing starts here. And for listeners, I started my hand in a lower position and then I raised it to a higher position. And so essentially Whiskey Advocate opens up their top 20 with a $25 American whiskey.
Oh, there you go. Okay, you know what? I like that. I like that it's kicking off with affordability, with shareability, right?
Right.
That's quite nice. There's something about spending $25 and pouring it for friends, and spending $225 and say, okay, let me narrow down the field of friends that I'm going to be pouring this for. So that $25 could be spread far and wide. So $25 in American whiskey. I want to say it's got to be some sort of a bourbon, maybe like a BIB, bottled in bond bourbon that's got big flavor, decent ABV, but a good price.
So I'm glad you said all of that, because you're super close on all of it without being right on any of it. But
horseshoes and hand grenades.
But with that said, it is 49.5% instead of a bottled in bond 50%. The title of it has 99 in it to reflect that 49.5%. It is a straight rye whiskey out of Kentucky.
Jesus.
And it is $25 a bottle, as previously said. And it scored 92 points when tasted this year.
Okay.
Do you want to know what it is? Get this process started.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a rye whiskey that is 99 proof. 49.5% alcohol. Yeah. It's Kentucky. So is it a Heaven Hill product?
Oh, so it might be. See, now you've got me going from brand names to distilleries, and it's not a strong suit of mine.
Yeah.
I will tell you, it is Ezra Brooks 99.
Okay. Well, here's the good news. I don't know who has the Ezra Brooks. I mean, right? This is so telling of like two guys who focus on malt whiskey. Like, oh, and then there's this bourbon brand. What's the distillery name? I don't know, but it's a brand.
Yeah, you want to focus on an esoteric single malt producer in Rhode Island. Rhode Island might be one of the only states in America without a single malt producer. Am I right in saying that? I don't know why I'm asking you that follow-up question.
I don't know.
There are other things we don't know on our podcast. So Ezra Brooks 99 kicked it off. So that's nice to see a rye whiskey. And like I said a second ago, it's nice to see that affordability creep in. Certainly something that you and I tried to put in our top fives of whiskeys worth your
Does
time.
it talk about flavors at all? That's the one thing I can't remember. Does it highlight any?
You have to click out to learn more, and then they have so I'm going to do that on select whiskeys, but I'm not going to do that starting in position number 20.
Okay, cool.
Number 19 comes from Japan, and I had a bottle of it on my shelf for donkey's years. Actually came from a very dear friend, Christopher Jew, who brought it back from a trip to Japan, and it was a cheap. I don't think it's the same one. I don't think you and I have the same one, but Joshua Ricci's off screen to
is it this guy?
Out. It is not. What's that you're showing? It's not coming through on the camera too well.
It's Nika. It's Nika whiskey from the barrel, but it's some special little bottling. So obviously it comes from Japan, but I think rumor has it's a lot of Ben Nevis going on in here.
Naturalized Japanese whiskey.
Yeah, which but is it this one or is it not this one?
It's not. No, Nika from the barrel is a little cracker as well, although the price went quite far north on this. This is a $70 43% Japanese, and I want to say blend. And I am correct because, as I said a moment ago, I have a bottle of this, or had it on shelves. It's now in storage or in a box or in my closet. Who the heck knows? Yeah.
So I don't think it's Hibiki because I don't think I've ever seen you with a bottle of Hibiki.
Yeah, you're correct. It is not.
Okay.
In creating this dram, master blender Jota Tanaka blends 4 styles of whiskey, all produced and aged at blank distillery, which is located at the base of blank. How familiar are you with Fuji?
I am not very familiar with Fuji.
I was surprised to see it in the US. I thought Fuji was a dedicated Japanese blend. And so I guess here we are sitting here. This is 2023. This reflects what was released in 2023. So I wonder if 2023 is Fuji coming to America? Fuji Gotemba Distillery.
Yeah, it's funny for the number of Japanese brands that I import through as being part of Impex. There are no blends in the range. So a Japanese blend is simply something I haven't really paid attention to, right? It's not a competitive thing, so I haven't paid attention to it.
Yeah, good to see Fuji coming in at number 19, though. That is, and there's no age statement attached. And as I said a moment ago, it's 43%.
Okay.
Number 18 is actually a cousin, a sister / brother of one of last year's major talking points. And so it's nice to see this distillery back in it.
Okay.
Could you give me a country? It's not American. It is not Japanese. It is not Scottish.
Oh boy. So I'm guessing, is it India?
It is not India. It's not. It's a country that actually had quite wonderful representation in last year's top 20 list.
Ireland.
Correct.
All right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember there was like a single barrel that won in last year's top 20. Okay.
And this, hopefully I'm not giving away too much for you here, but this was the one. Oh, that's a different bottle. The one that I'm thinking of, Jason Ricci's off screen. Yeah, here you go. I ended up purchasing this for an Irish tasting I did March 17, based on the results of the top 20 list that we covered last year. And so I am showing Joshua the Chinkapin, the Virgin Chinkapin Oak from Teeling that was high up in the top 20 last year. And so it's them again, Joshua.
Do you know what
they put out? Do you know what they put out in 23?
The Nolans are going to kick my butt for not knowing this because I know they're such big fans of Teeling and good Irish whiskey. Wait a second. Was it another Virgin Oak bottling?
So it's not. But
it's a strike 3, Jason.
No. So no, you were right. It is Virgin. It's Virgin Portuguese Oak. The trouble for my brain is once I read Portuguese oak, I totally forgot about the word virgin and substituted STR. So my brain played a trick on itself. So
it's actually 72 virgins oak.
It wouldn't. Yeah, I'm not going to get into those jokes. It scored 93. It's 93 virgin Portuguese oaks, Joshua.
Is it single malt? Is it pot still? Is it grain? What type of Irish whiskey?
Irish single pot still.
Okay, so malted and unmalted barley, pot still, 46%.
50.
50.
Yep.
There you go.
And $100. I think when I got the Chinkapin, it probably cost me $110 because I was doing it after the awards. After it made a top 20 list. But I thought 110 was reasonably close to the 100 that it came in at. So congrats to Teeling on that one. That's lovely back to back years.
Well done. Yeah, great people, great whiskeys.
We then go to Canada for number 17. I'm kind of scanning the list to see the countries. 17 is in Canada.
So Yeah, go ahead.
Let me tell you a story, Joshua.
Go ahead.
There was once a gentleman, and I'm using that term very loosely,
from Nantucket,
who highly rated an offering from this distillery, and it just about killed the annual review of whiskies that he put out. He was then responsible for putting some other nails in the coffin of the end of that. Well, that's a story for another day. Can you imagine a return of a distillery that nearly led to the demise of a whiskey ranking?
So firstly, using that term "gentleman"
That's what I'm saying.
really loosely.
That's what I'm
saying. So is it a Crown Royal again?
It is a Crown Royal.
My gosh.
But it is not Northern Harvest.
Oh, is it the apple one?
This is Crown Royal Noble Collection Barley Edition.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
45% alcohol, $80 a bottle, scored 93 points. And is the final limited edition release in Crown's Noble Collection.
Okay. Listen, I think it's nice that Canadian whiskeys are getting some nods. We've got friends here in the Northeast, Nick and Zach Taylor, who have Found North, and they do independent bottlings of exclusively Canadian whiskeys. They're really trying to shine a light on some of the beautiful spirits that are coming from that country. So, it's nice to see this Crown Royal get a nod here. It's nice to see Nick and Zach doing what they're doing, and there's plenty of others too. So, it'd be nice to see more attention being paid to good Canadian spirits. So
absolutely checks out. No, beautifully said, Joshua. There's my Hanukkah gift to you.
There you go.
A day late and $1 short. Okay, so we then, and this is very, well, I guess it's got a different title to it, but the branding is very well known on this one. And I'll give you one clue here. So our first four, we went Kentucky, Japan, Ireland, Canada. We are returning to one of those four for spot number 16. Which country do you think we're returning to from those first four?
I want to say we're returning to America.
Incorrect.
I want to say we're returning to Japan.
Incorrect.
I want to say we're returning to one of the other countries mentioned.
Were you just naming the ones you could remember?
Yes. Is it another Irish whiskey?
It is another Irish whiskey.
Hey, there you go. All right.
First time.
First time.
Yeah. So this is from the family, very well known, that to my mind, the family of Yellow Spot and Green Spot.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Right. Very, very well regarded, very well spoken about. It tends, I sometimes find it as the beginning of moving away from the Jamesons and the bottled Middleton brand, right? It's that beginning of here's another thing you could be drinking. Do you have that experience with Yellow Spot and Green Spot? Is that a way you pitch them to people?
So,
assuming you pitch them to people.
Oh yeah, hold on.
Oh, Joshua reaches off camera
I've got a little yellow spot right here, which I'm going to pour.
The jokes write themselves. You just wrote a joke for yourself on that one.
Is this year's winning bottle the brown spot? What is it?
Oh, Joshua, we have gone sophomoric.
Listen, whenever I pitch Irish whiskey to those people who only know Jameson or only know, Middleton as like the ultimate of the Irish whiskeys, I usually pitch Redbreast
Absolutely, yep.
Right?
Jason reaches off camera, pulls up a redbreast.
Yeah, there you
the
the
Lestelle
Lestelle one too.
redbreast.
Yeah, I mean, just to give you an idea, well, I guess I've had this for 3 years now, this yellow spot, 2 or 3 years. I don't love the yellow spot so much. I've had the blue spot, which is quite nice, but it was never a thing that I reach for. I really talk about redbreast. Believe it or not, I urge people to drink Jameson because I think it's a solid little blend. It's an easy drinker where you could just hang out and have a conversation with friends. So I don't necessarily try to pull people away from Jameson.
Well, let me tell you a little more about Green Spot now. We've reached the controversial portion of today's episode. Green Spot Quail's Gate. Irish single pot still. This Green Spot expression is the third bottling in its Wine Geese series, a tribute to Irish diaspora. It's finished for 16 months in Pinot Noir casks from British Columbia winemaker Quail's Gate, owned by the Stewart family, whose ancestors immigrated from Ireland to Canada over a century ago. 46%, $70 a bottle, and scored 93 points.
Yeah, interesting. What makes Green Spot? Like I feel Yellow Spot is a 12-year-old age-stated whiskey. Do they attach an age to?
No, there's no age on this one. Nope. Okay. This is just going by name of Quail's Gate. Yeah, we're not hiding to nothing with this list because I'm just like, yep. What's the difference there? An Irish pot still? All right. Okay, let's go number 15, Joshua.
Okay. I'm ready.
I can't even imagine what I would say to you to have you guess this. It's from Colorado. Tell me all the things you know about Colorado producers.
So I know of Stranahan's and I know Breckenridge.
Mm-hmm. And neither of those two.
And then I know you can get the Silver Bullet from Colorado. Coors, that's a beer.
Okay. You had me
it's
racking
not
my
a
brain
werewolf killing apparatus. I'm just talking beer. Like Stranahan. I know Stranahan's and I know Breckenridge, and I return to Stranahan's quite a lot. And I don't have any Breckenridge here, but that's what I know.
Yep. So what Whiskey Advocate knows is this is a high malt bourbon that's part of Colorado whiskey maker Old Elk's Cask Finish series. And this is port finished high malt bourbon.
Old Elk.
Old Elk.
Isn't Old Elk the MGP bottle, brand?
54.05%.
I'm sort of struggling looking at my bottles here, but I thought Old Elk was an MGP brand.
Yeah, I don't know. This is going with Colorado whiskey maker Old Elk.
So I've got a bottle of Old Elk. Straight bourbon whiskey. Master distiller is Greg Metz. It's been signed.
Same signature on this bottle at number 15 in the top 20 list.
Bottled by Old Elk Distillery in Fort Collins, Colorado. However, I'm near positive this is MGP.
Near positive might not be enough for us to make a claim on extra.
I'm like almost positive.
To be clear, listeners and viewers, we are not positive at all. And all I have done is quote Whiskey Advocate magazine.
Here you go. So anybody who wants to reach out, questions at One Nation Under Whiskey.
Especially if your name was it Greg Metz? Was that the signature on the bottle? Oh boy, Joshua, the things we get into here. All right. We have reached Scotch whiskey in spot number 14.
There you go. All right.
global brand. This one does have an age statement, but it is another finished whiskey, coming in at 43%. And if I tell you it's £55 $55 a bottle, you're going to get a sense of the size of production. So I think we've really whittled this down to perhaps 3 guesses.
It's either Glenfiddich, Glenlivet, or the Balvenie.
It is one of those 3.
It is one of those 3. Hey, geez, things that have been released this year. I think I want to rule the Balvenie out.
I think that's okay. I will allow you to do so.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think of things that have been released this year. I feel as if I haven't seen many new Glenfiddichs.
Okay.
So I want to say it's a Glenlivet of some extraction.
Oh, you talked yourself out of the correct answer.
I mean, like I said, a Glenfiddich of some extraction. That's what I meant to say.
You, sir, are exactly correct.
First time.
It is Glenfiddich 12-year-old Amontillado Sherry Cask Finish. Scored 93 points, and as I said, 43% alcohol and $55 a bottle. Isn't that something?
I bet you Jess has had that one. She loves Glenfiddich.
Oh, she's well up on our Glenfiddich. Yeah. She's well up on our Scotches, to be fair.
Well, I mean, there are few people who are as well up on their Scotches compared to her.
In the interest of a tight 35, I'm gonna quickly blitz through a few bottlings here. I'm actually gonna bridge from Scotch to Scotch. So position 13 had something I've simply never heard of, which is Hemingway Signature Edition. It's a rye produced, Indiana and Kentucky rye going into Hemingway Signature Edition. It scored 94 points, 51% alcohol, and $80. There's then Blue Run Trifecta in position number 12. Which is Kentucky.
It's a bourbon, right?
It says here, at the helm for Blue Run Spirit Seas Whiskies are whiskey director Shaylin Gammon and liquid advisor Jim Rutledge, who demonstrate their mastery with this blend of 3 Kentucky bourbons aged 6, 8, and 9 years. So that's Blue Run.
You don't know Blue Run?
No. I feel like they might have been on last year's list because I feel like we may have had a similar conversation to, you haven't heard of them? Another returner from last year's list is Barrel Craft. And Barrel Craft Spirit, 6-year-old, cask strength, batch 35. It's Indiana, Kentucky, and Tennessee. Whiskies, 58.75%. $90 a bottle, and it scored 94 points. So that's good to see. So Hemingway Signature Edition in 13, Blue Run Trifecta in 12, Barrel Craft Spirit 6-year-old cask strength in 11, brings us to another Scotch whiskey in position number 10, Joshua. And I'll quickly put you out your misery. It is not one of the big 3 players that you named moments ago, but it is not a million miles away.
Can you give me other signposts to work with here?
This is a cask strength offering that is released in batches. This is batch 12. It will run you $105 and you will gain 58.2% in alcohol. Really puts it into a category that we talk about a fair bit, but it's not one of our category mainstays. By which I mean it's not Glenfarclas 105, it's not Aberlour Abuna, but it's in that family.
So I feel as if we've mentioned a third distillery that's within that family that you didn't mention just now.
Go for it.
And I get the sense that it could be Tamdhu batch strength.
I knew you were going to say Tamdhu, and it's not Tamdhu.
It's
I
not
knew you were
Tamdhu.
going to. No, I knew you were going to say that because you're right to say that. You're right to add that. It's the third one.
Yeah.
It's not Tamdhu. It's if there was a fourth, it would be this one.
Oh wow.
You're going to know this within half a second. It is. I don't know if it's saying too much. You'll forget by the next release and the next number anyway. But it's in the same family as the winning whiskey in today's top 20. It is somebody we were sampling in 2011, 2012.
Glendronach Cask Strength.
Never did get them into the single cask nation spirit of collaboration.
Is it Glendronach?
It is Glendronach, right?
Yeah, Glendronach.
It's one you and I don't talk about Glendronach Cask Strength batches as a fourth member of that family that's Glenfarclas, Aberlour, and the one you just said.
Yeah, it's interesting. Glendronach was a brand or distillery that I quite liked for some time, and then it all became too heavy for me. Their spirit is so heavy, and I haven't returned to it. And so, this makes me want to return to it and see what's going on here. Okay.
Yeah, I think one of the key elements to pull out here, and I thought about this when I saw the number one whiskey on this list, but this is Rachel Barry. This is Rachel Barry with Glendronach, Benriach, and Glenglassa, and Brown Foreman, and what an achievement, right? That's to your very point of. Yeah, I've never really been a Glendronach guy. There have been some of those really special ones when they were aging down, and those became some special bottlings. And I own one. I looked at it just the other day. It was a gift from you, Joshua. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then Glendronach just kind of went away a little bit. So to see it return here is really positive. I would definitely venture into the world of a Glendronach Cask Strength Batch 12 purchase on the strength of this award or on the strength of this accolade.
And I like that it's returning under the banner of Rachel Barry, right?
Yeah.
For a while it was just this was Billy Walker and what Billy did. And so it's good to see that, she's become a steward of that and created something that is obviously turning heads. So that's good to hear. Good on her.
Yep. Yeah, I really do. I tip my cap on the strength of that one. And number 9 returns us to America, puts us in Kentucky, Joshua. Recently sold a large production facility, not named Wilderness Trail.
Recently sold production facility in Kentucky that is not named Wilderness Trail. Recently sold. I feel like I can't think of who it is, and I feel like as soon as you tell me, I'm going to say, of course it's so-and-so.
Yeah, the BBC?
British Broadcast Company?
It's what I think about every time I see BBC. Who's the other BBC in Kentucky?
I don't know why I'm. It may be the Irish whiskey that's doing it to me, but
yeah, Bardstown.
Oh, Bardstown. So I don't think of Bardstown as BBC. I just think of Bardstown as Bardstown.
Yeah, it's the Bardstown Bourbon Company. It's the BBC.
Oh, that's so funny. I think of just Bardstown as Bardstown. Okay.
So this is their collaborative series. This is in collaboration with Foursquare. The blend of 7-year-old Indiana rye and 17-year-old Tennessee bourbon is finished in rum barrels for nearly 2 years.
Wow. That sounds very, very interesting.
Yeah, 7-year-old Indiana, 17-year-old Tennessee, and then 2 years in Foursquare barrels. Yeah, interesting. It comes in at 53.5% alcohol, which is a nice number to see for sure. The price tag is $160, which you bring in a 17-year-old Tennessee whiskey here.
Yeah.
The prices are going north, but there you go. We we try not to complain about the price of whiskey while complaining about the price of whiskey. I will try to do better. 160. Good luck to you. Go get it. Number 8 brings us back to Scotland and is the third whiskey that I thought was going to come out your mouth when you said Glenfiddich and Glenlivet, and then you zigged over to Balvenie, which I thought was fair. But this is always my third. When making that top 3 producer list in Scotland.
Oh, I see. So my top 3 were Glenlivet, Glenfiddich, Balvenie, and you're saying the third. So it's not one of those 3. It's another one, but it's another one of the big 3. Yeah. When you say, okay.
Yeah. It's the one I would sub Balvenie for. I would keep those other 2, but I would sub Balvenie for this distillery.
Oh, that's very, very interesting. Huh. Is it a Space Cider?
No, it's a Highland.
It's a Highland. Okay. Is it a Glenmorangie?
Exactly. Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, non-controversial position from Jason.
Is it the Glenmorangie Forest?
It is a Tale of the Forest. 46% alcohol, $102. Scored 94 points. I'm so sorry. I was trying to tease out the piece of information, and what they decided to go with was, under master distiller turned mad scientist Dr. Bill Lumsden, Glenmorangie has earned its position at the avant-garde of Scotch. While not every one of his experiments goes as planned, this expression should please traditionalists and adventurous drinkers alike, and then goes into the tasting notes.
That is such a listen, we get he doesn't always do it right. Like, come on. But he, a squirrel finds an acorn every now and again. That's what I take from that statement.
While giving this whiskey the number 8 spot, right? It's not even like, yeah, he hits, he misses, and this year he made number 20. It's like he hits, he misses, and this one's a cracker. You should buy it. So what do you know of Tale of the Forest?
That I have a bottle in my kitchen.
Do you know what? That didn't make it into the Whiskey Advocate write-up.
And it made it into Joshua Morrissey Hatton's kitchen. Yeah, I want to say that there has something to do with, like, they used burning twigs to make this, or they put something, strange in the mash to give it this, like, forest floor kind of thing. Am I right?
Yeah, I don't know. Whiskey Advocate haven't told me. They've just said, Bill Lumsden, he's kind of hit and miss. Like, why would we tell you about the whiskey we selected for the number 8 position?
I can run and grab that.
Nah, we're good. We're good. We got a tight 30 to be
right, yeah, tight 30. Tight 30. Yeah. Yeah, we haven't hit the 30-minute point yet, which is nice.
We haven't even hit the 20-minute point yet. So number 7 keeps us in Scotland, but is bottled, is released, is branded as a double-double.
As a double-double?
Yeah.
What do those words even mean?
Well, I'm trying to parse that from Whiskey Advocate right now. Blank aged the malts and grains for 21 years and then created the blend, returning it to the barrel for further aging before finishing it in Mizunara oak casks. So this release has a 21-year age statement.
Okay.
Hits the cough button. It is 46% ABV.
Okay.
It is $150.
Okay.
And it scored 95 points. And if I told you the master blender, you would you'd be much closer to guessing what's going on here.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of producers that have put out a Mizunara finished whiskey in 2023. I seem to recall a Glenfiddich in Mizunara, but that wasn't 2023.
Yeah, not this one here.
Man. Oh, okay. Wait a second. I'm trying to think of, what parent companies also own Japanese companies?
I was racking my brain. As soon as I saw Mizunara, I was like, who do they own? There's so many owners. It runs so deep.
Is it a Beam distillery?
It is not. It's a very natural place to go, and it is not. It is. We are talking a blended Scotch whiskey, Joshua.
Oh, okay. This is there you go. It's Dewar's. It's Stephanie McLeod. Yeah.
Exactly. This is Dewar's Double 21-year-old Mizunara Oak, and the opening salvo here is Master Blender Stephanie McLeod leans further into the experimentation that saw her use Mizunara oak casks for Dewar's Japanese Smooth. This time as the final step of the 21-year-old's aging process. There you go. 21-year-old blended malt makes spot number 7.
There you go.
Yeah, that's quite special, isn't it?
It is, right? Yeah.
Yep. Numbers 6, 5, and 4 are all Kentucky.
6, 5, and 4 are all Kentucky.
All Kentucky. Kentucky.
Bourbon's Rise. I wouldn't mind going to number 3.
It's kind of where this is all heading, isn't it? All right. So a quick bridge from number 7 to number 3. So number 6 is Maker's Mark Cellar Age 2023.
Interesting.
57.85%, $150 a bottle, scored 94.
Checks out.
Number 5 is Wild Turkey Master's Keep Voyage.
Hey.
53% alcohol, $275 a bottle, scored 95 points. And number 4 is Little Book, Chapter 7, titled In Retrospect. And that is 59.05%, $150 a bottle, and scored 95 points. So there you go. Maker's Mark, Wild Turkey, and Booker's Family there.
There you go.
Isn't that something?
I'll take it. I mean, listen, all 3, I mean, Maker's Mark, Wild Turkey, great distilleries. The Little Book blends have been fantastic stuff. So yeah, spot on. Yep.
Chapter 7 makes it into the 4th spot. So, well, with number 3 in mind, this is the shirt of choice. This is my Westland colored shirt. It is not Westland branded shirt, but every time I look in my closet and I see this shirt, I ask myself, am I having a Westland kind of day? And this morning, the answer was very much yes. I am having a Westland kind of day. So there is no guessing to be done here. We already texted our congratulations to the Westland crew. We were distinctly privileged to record a live podcast at Westland on the day of launch for Gariana 8. November 5th of this year. We said to a person, Jess was there, members of the nation were there. It was an absolutely cracking day. And to a person, we said, this is some of the best Gariana we have had in this 8-bottle series. Incredibly well put together. And so I'm ecstatic to see it get number 3, American single malt whiskey. Now, to my mind, this is the only American single malt whiskey in the top 20. And, last year we had Westward in position number 4. If memory serves, the Westward Cask Strength was in position number 4 last year.
There you go. So it's nice to see a return of American single malt to the top 5 section,
the upper echelon,
right? And here we are. We moved up a notch. We went from number 4 to number 3, and I'm with you. Being part of that launch. The fact that Westland adjusted their launch day to go around our live podcast was pretty special,
Did they adjust their launch day, or did we adjust the day we were recording the live podcast?
Oh man, now you have me remembering things potentially wrong, but oh boy, yeah, maybe we adjusted ours, but I don't think we did.
I feel like it was a little from column A and a little from column B.
There you go. But
like any good collaboration.
But you're spot on here. When we tasted it on the day, we said, "Wow, this is some of the best Garyana that we've had." And they added in some PX sherry into here, and just some lovely cask usage. So yeah, really happy with this one.
Yeah. Oh gosh, this actually has a video. I'm not going to play it, or this recording will crash. That's good. Here's what Whiskey Advocate says this. This is Seattle, Washington-based Westland's 8th Garyana release, and it just keeps getting more graceful.
I agree with that statement. This is a graceful whiskey.
That's a nice statement, isn't it? That was really measured. Yeah, very happy with that. This is 50% alcohol, $150 a bottle, and scored 94 when reviewed by Whiskey Advocate. And just super excited. One of our long-time collaborative partners and a group of people with whom we thoroughly enjoy collaborating. Sold out our selection from Westland. The fact that Single Cask Nation can only sell Westland Single Cask via lottery shows that the nation feels similarly about Westland. And we were there on the day selecting 2024, an early 2024 release. But this isn't about Single Cask Nation. This is about Westland Garyana, number 8, getting 3rd spot in Whiskey Advocate's annual top 20 list. Brilliant achievement. And I tip my cap. Number 2, Joshua, this is another batched cask strength out of Scotland that has come upon my radar in the last year, thanks to my group on the Palouse. My Whiskey Society has brought this to my attention as something very worthwhile. And I tasted batch 2 or 3 and said, oh yes, now in position number 2 with Whiskey Advocate is batch 4. So this really has legs, really has staying power, and really needs to be on a shelf. So I loved seeing this in the number 2 position.
Is it a single malt, blended malt?
Single malt from a distillery that I would say went into the wilderness a little bit, in my humble opinion. Really became a staple of travel retail. And what was going into travel retail was not designed for me or you or our ilk. And now here's a batched cask strength offering that absolutely is for me and you and our ilk.
It's not Isla, right?
It's not Isla.
It's not Isla. Speyside?
It's not Speyside.
It's a Highlander.
It is a Highlander, and to a sub-region that we are quite fond of.
Western Highlands.
You had me at Island.
Ah. Well, there could be a number of islands.
Correct.
It could be Isle of Skye. It could be...
Come on, out of the islands, who really went all in on travel retail and didn't produce anything that we bought?
I seriously am having a brain fart here.
Hundreds of Viking releases. Hundreds.
Oh, Highland Park. Yeah. Highland Park. Oh,
right?
Okay.
They went into that little place where it was
Forgot about that. Yeah. And at 40%.
Again, you're story
alcohol.
driven, right? It's story and box and label.
Yeah, 40% alcohol. And then they released a series of single casks with ridiculous high ABVs that I also felt it didn't always hit the mark. And so here we are at a batched cask strength offering.
Which is why I was originally hesitant to jump into this batch cask strength, because it too has got very high ABVs attached to it. And the recollection was Highland Park hadn't been doing too well at the high ABVs.
Yeah.
These batches are fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So this is Highland Park Cask Strength Batch 4, 64.3% alcohol.
Oof.
Which, again, in the grand scheme of things, higher for us is very appealing. It is something we seek out.
Yeah.
However, the history we were having at those higher ABVs was not successful.
Correct.
64.3. So I haven't had batch 4, so I can't speak to the 64.3 on this one. But the high strengths I've had on previous batches, cracking whiskey.
NAS, non-age stated whiskey?
Non-age stated, $100 a bottle.
And it's just Highland Park cask strength.
Yeah.
How have I not paid attention to this bottling?
Because we didn't need to, right? The whole recent history, the last decade of Highland Park, you and I talk very fondly, very often of Hjarta, as a high water mark that, what's come close to Hjarta since Hjarta. These are good. These are really good. Worth your time.
For those that don't know what Hjarta was, that was a bottling from 2009. 12 years old and cask strength. I think they only made 3,000 bottles, but man, that was a release that both you and I have purchased multiple bottles of.
Yeah.
So are you saying, and I want, is this a declarative statement? Are these cask strength or batch strength bottlings of the quality of that Hjarta?
They're different. Yeah, they're different. I wouldn't say pick one over the other or one replaces the other. Hjarta remains Hjarta and just drop dead gorgeous. Mm-hmm. These cask strength batches are excellent expressions of Highland Park.
Okay, there you go. I'm going to seek them out. It's nice to have a return to quality cask strength Highland Park. So I'm really glad
100%. I am absolutely celebrating this. So to see this at number 2, really wonderful.
Yeah, beauty.
To close it out, along very similar lines, and we said this down at the Glendronach cask strength pick, is we have a return here, and it's a return fueled by Rachel Barry, and it gives us a distillery that I don't think has had its due since a couple of our friends were at the helm, and to see it take number 1, I think was a real reason for celebration. And the distillery is.
I know what it is because now I remember. This was the one where I said, and then there were 2 whiskeys, but then I forgot one, and now I remember. It's Glenglassaugh with the Sandbed bottling.
Right. Is it Sand End?
Sand End. Yeah, thank you.
Sand End. And imagine having a number 1 winning bottle that comes in at $70. Right? That price, as we said last year, that price is going to go up. But what a great spot for it. I love the new packaging. I love the twist on the bottle. I don't normally like flange around the cork. I like the flange on this. I think it works. I think the packaging is very nice. The label is real standout. I haven't tasted the whiskey, which is why I'm saying all these pretty things about the photograph.
I have tasted one of the new Glenglassas in that range?
The 12-year-old was at Scottish Dave's on Saturday.
It was. Yeah, it was. That's not the one I had, though.
Charlie Prince had a cheeky wee pour of that.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
because we were talking about Sandend and we were talking about this award, and we saw the 12-year-old sitting on the back bar.
Okay. Yeah, the Glenglassa distillery has had such a spotted history of being open and closed, and their liquid being desired and not desired for this blend or that blend. And then in 2008, our dear friend Stuart Nickerson reopening it and hiring Ronnie Rutledge to be his right-hand person in this.
Absolutely.
And then it gets sold to Brown-Forman. And, I think one of the things that was so interesting about the Brown-Forman purchase of Glenglassa is when they purchased that distillery along with Benriach and Glendronach, all of the focus went to Benriach and Glendronach. And at first I was thinking, man, you're not giving Glenglassa its due.
Yep.
And if you really think about it, I think they had to play the waiting game. I think they wanted to ensure that the distillery was being represented in the absolute best light. Obviously, some of that is liquid and perfecting the liquid, but then a lot of it is in this packaging that you're talking about, which is incredibly attractive and I think complements the spirit inside really nicely. And here we are, another win for Rachel Berry and the master blending that she does of this spirit. Again, hat tip to her and hat tip to Brown-Forman on finally giving Glenglassa its due, and to Whiskey Advocate for recognizing this. That bottle is 100% on my list to get because for a number of reasons.
And 50.5% alcohol, right?
$70.
It's another higher strength Highland whiskey. I think that is my takeaway from the top 20 list. Last year we talked about how much Irish was on the top 20 list. For me this year it's the Highlanders. Look at these Highlanders coming out and taking terrific awards and getting eyeballs within the Scotch category on a region that kind of lost some of its footing to Speyside, and now the coastal Glenglassa, Highland Park coming in there, really, positions 1 and 2. That's really great to see.
Yeah,
really.
Especially seeing, the past 8 years or so, the number one spot or the spots very close to number one have been focused more on American whiskeys.
Absolutely.
And so to see return to single malt Scotch whiskey, capturing the helm of both the gold and silver, first and second spot, is quite nice. And
the Glenmorangie, number 8 spot.
There you go, the Glenmorangie.
3 Highland Scotchies in the top 10. Okay. Last year I came to terms with the rise of Irish whiskey, and I applauded my Celtic cousins, and to see 3 Highland Scotchies in the top 10 and a Gary Westland. I can rest easy this day, Joshua. So, wonderful. I've been looking forward to this list coming out and looking forward to recording this episode of Extra Extra. So this has gone the way I'd hoped. However, with a tight 35 in mind, we better skedaddle. Before we do that, I will draw attention to our email. You showed it earlier, but please do drop us a line. info@singlecasknation.com or questions@onenationunderwhiskey.com. No E in whiskey. Subscribe, tickle that bell, do the things that grown-ups do when they're on the YouTubes. Yeah, and we're presenting a list of the top 20 bottles of Whiskey Advocate, which is usually like a shopping list for people, right? They wait for this and say, okay, for sure.
There's no doubt. What new bottle or bottles am I going to get?
God, yeah.
when you do purchase the bottles, if you chose to purchase any of them, again, we're not, we're not the salespeople for these at all. We just think it's a fun list to go down. But when you do, and when you open those bottles, we just want you to please drink the whole bottle responsibly.
Very well said. Very well said. All right. Well, that's it for season 4. It is in the bag. We will have our own year in review in the next episode of One Nation Under Whiskey. Please tune in for that. There'll be significant dramming going on there.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking forward to that recording as well. So there's a couple of strong ones to close out the calendar year. So I will wish listeners and viewers of Extra Extra a warm and happy festive season, an end of year period. For those in greater difficulty around the world, we will raise a glass to peace and hope that we see it sooner rather than later. And we will continue to bring people together in the name of whiskey and in the name of community. So, Joshua, I toast you. And I toast our listeners, and I toast our friends around the world. And
did you think if you just put your hand up to the camera that
you're going to Photoshop a glass in my hand in post, right? So there we go. Here's a teeling for the season.
There you go.
Cheers, everybody, and peace.
Peace. Hey, balloons of peace.
Balloons of peace.